we have a wonderful guest on again. She is somewhat of a genius. She has spent many, many years spending a lot of money on personal growth, understanding sales and advertising, um, and personal development and all sorts of sales skills. She's the foundation behind the Cerule Success Planner. That's a lot of that is Linda. It's just remarkable what she's done. And she's got a wonderful heart and a wonderful mind. And she's somewhat of a genius, and she sees things very logical, but at the same time, has got such a big heart and empathy and love for all of us. So with no more to say, Linda, welcome to the webinar.
Thank you, Ian Davies. A lovely introduction as always.
Well, we have a lovely guest today, and that's you. So Linda, I'll pass it to you to kind of structure what you want to go, and then you can pass it back to me as you wish if you want me to interact. So,
yes, for sure. Yep, absolutely. So I guess today we're going to be talking a little bit about some sales training concepts. So as Mark said, you know, I've invested quite a lot in going along and I guess personal development, which I found really instrumental in building my role as a leader and coming up into president's level into Cerule. I'm very much very keen to see, you know, what goes on in my own mind and what blocks come up, and then to really just go and have those sorted out. So I invest quite a lot in sort of kinesiology and courses. And so one of the courses I've kind of looked at have also include sales training. So one of the things I've noticed about myself is that I have naturally really good sales skills. And I think I got that from my dad. My dad was a great person with sales, and I used to travel around in his truck when I was a toddler selling nutritional supplements to farmers around this area, and I think that probably had a big effect on me nutritionally. And I guess just learning how to connect with people, having enough of a conversation with people so that you have enough information. Because sometimes, and I heard it yesterday, someone said something about a new IBO of theirs, and that they'd talked to 12 people who were interested, and they'd sent out information, and it's been a couple of weeks and nothing's come together. And one of the things I always say to that, and I go, it's interesting, you know, if that was 12 people who had told me they were interested and I'd sent information, the bulk of them would be in the system by now, because there's a whole sequence of things that really good natural salespeople automatically do. So I've been interested to actually study that sales psychology, because I think when you're on the inside of everything, kind of going, how come people can't do what I do? And relying on a group of IBOs building who naturally have skills isn't really kind of duplicatable. And I think it's about time we start talking about what skills are actually potentially missing for some people. So what I'm going to talk about today is just a snapshot of a concept that came to mind that would be good to talk about after our last webinar, when we were talking about handling objections. And one of the questions that came in at the end of the webinar was around kind of cost. And I sort of went, well, once somebody really values the product and the role of the product in their life, and they can see the benefits for themselves, then, you know, cost becomes more of a black and white kind of subject. It doesn't become part of their, you know, instant resistance mechanism, etc., because they've been engaged and you've taken enough time to see where that person is coming from, where they're at, and qualifying them as to whether they're really ready to commit to taking enough product and taking it long enough. Because people who've ever worked with me personally will know, if someone, you know, just said to me, oh, you know, I'll try a bottle, I won't even entertain it, because what happens if this one bottle that they have in their hands is actually the answers to some of their significant degeneration, if we're talking about stem enhance? And yet I know better than anyone that it's about taking enough for the size, the age and the degeneration in your body, and taking it for long enough. So in some ways, the worst thing, you know, someone can kind of do is just go, oh yeah, give it a go and see how you're going, because you're setting up the expectation that some of the results that we see, people are going to see it in one bottle. And it kind of makes me want to tear my hair out because it's kind of sad. It's sad for that person. And then it's very frustrating for the IBO that's trying to build Autoship base in their business, and they're actually creating the whole thing just never getting any traction because of maybe they have certain issues and possibly not enough confidence and skills. So I think one thing that's really important to do if you're not getting the results that you're looking for is to really study your own sales process, and you need to really ask yourself, what skills do you need and where can you find the answers, and to ask yourself, do you want to find the answers? Because some people are very much stuck in the story, particularly with network marketing. Oh, this is just like the last time I tried to do something, and etc. And they're actually using their current experience to reinforce something that happened to them last year or 10 years ago, when really we're about living right here and now and moving forward and creating a new experience, a new level of skills, confidence and experience. And if that isn't coming together for you, there are so many resources out there that you can start tapping into. And sometimes it's about just committing to once, twice a week, a little bit every day, to your own personal development and your own understanding. So there are awesome resources out there. I know one that I listened to a number of years ago now that I still recommend to people is the Tim Sales training. And if anyone's ever listened to some of Tim's first experiences, this is a man who came into network marketing and could really see the possibility of changing his whole life, but he had a stutter and he didn't talk to people very well, and he had a really long kind of pitch about his product and he couldn't bring it all together, and he got a teddy bear and he put it on a chair and he videoed himself, I guess, just doing an introduction to whatever it is he was working with, etc. And he coached himself to the level of success where he could connect with people, get enough information like we're going to talk about today. And to me, that just shows a lot of tenacity. And for some people out there, it's going to take that level of inquiry and study of themselves, and recognizing that if they're really not getting the traction they're looking for, to actually come back and investigate their own skill set and invest in building their own skill set. So for myself, I could see that I didn't have a very good skill set around teaching sort of sales training, because I sort of just went like, well, how come you all don't ask enough questions? So I've got something to present today in order to help that. And it's about you kind of taking parts of this and integrating it into, what you say and do. And I'd very much today, if I talk about it in an area to do with sort of sales and part of the process, if you kind of go, oh my goodness, that I just don't do that, well, really take a note of it and start practicing it and add those pieces together, because sometimes people have done just about everything kind of right, but they haven't, for some reason, just connected some of the dots. So we'll talk about what those dots might be today. And we'll also, I guess it's a good time to remind people, because what I see consistently with people that aren't actually getting the orders coming together is they're not asking for the sale. So I'll talk a little bit about it with the sales grid. But what I say to people after I've gone through things, I'm just like, is this something that you'd like to try in your life? Is this the type of business that you're looking for? And then people straight away are going to tell you exactly where they're at. They're going to say, yeah, like how do I get started? And then that you don't have to say anything else, because remember, sometimes you can talk someone into a sale and talk them out of it. So if they're ready to go in the system, you get them into the system. Don't try and make up objections for them, and move forward from there. So I wanted to make sure I really reiterated that, because if you are like the lady I heard about yesterday and you've got product information or business information out to 5-12 people and you feel like you've had a really good engagement, one thing you could really do in the next 24 hours is just go back and ask them where they're at with it all. Yeah, because often people will say to me, I just don't know where they're at. And I'm like, why don't you ask where they're at? And they'll say, look, I'm in the middle of building a new house. I think it's something I should really take for myself. And from a business point of view, I just can't take anything on you know, for another 6 months, and then you know exactly where they're at. They can come into the system as a preferred customer, and you know that, you know, in 6 months' time to kind of follow them up and see where they're at as far as looking at a business. It's all kind of quite common sense, but it's amazing sometimes how much when I come in and analyze a scenario that's going on through people, it is just dots that aren't connected. So I guess you would agree with all that, Ian. Have you got any general kind of insights before we get started?
No, absolutely. It's funny. So many people have resistance because they just don't understand. And once we can educate them and we can understand what they have here, it just lowers the resistance. Wow, it's very different to what I thought. I just spoke to a guy in the States on Sunday a couple of days ago. And he said, oh, I worked network marketing before. I used to take people to meetings. I used to sign up, but they all fell apart and I had to push them all the time to be involved. And, oh, no, you know, network marketing, I've got a terrible taste in my mouth. And I came back and said, look, we have life-changing products here. I focus people where they're at. If I can change their lives with the product, very often those people tap me on the shoulder later and say, hey, Ian, I love this. Can I be involved in your network marketing? And it's very organic and natural. And so it really limited his reservation. He said, wow, this is something I may want to be involved in. It changed that preconceived idea he had from his past experience.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very, very well put. And I really do think that that's part of the culture that that we help kind of set within Cerule as well, that for people with previous network marketing experience really kind of enjoy, you know, that we just follow the energy and work with where people are at, because otherwise you add to that story of, I brought all these people along, they didn't do anything. Well, how come you're not qualifying them as to actually if they're interested in building a business or if they just want to take the product? So once again, you become, you know, the creator of your own story, because it's more of a, oh, let's just kind of grab and connect and not build relationships and understand people we're at and look at where we're really spending our time and energy. It becomes, oh, well, we'll just give all this a go. And then you just get, I've given this all a go kind of results. And there's nothing particularly logical in that, hey?